one of the key things that you said about stability that's like so poignant is stability is a temporary state. You know, I love that statement because it's so true. You can't sit or rest on your laurels. You have to, like you rightly said, always disrupt yourself. I can't count already how many times you've used the word disrupt in this conversation, and I think it's fantastic. And I wanted to go to a place around building teams, and building resources. How do you build a team and foster a culture that is both agile and resilient and is able to deal with disruption that you're speaking about? How do you build that kind of team? How have you built that kind of team?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I always tell everybody that there are three different kind of people in organizations. You have the people that are making things happen. Then you have the next set of people that can make things happen on Monday, but not make things happen on Tuesday. They are jumping in between. And then you have some people that are totally disconnected. They understand from the organization. So everybody is not going to move at the same time. They understand. So your ability to also make sure you get a larger number of people to be engaged. So I got a lot of knowledge and wisdom from the book of the success of Netflix, where the book that No Rule Rules. And yeah, they took a lot of decision. They did a lot of things that didn't make sense to a lot of people, but I think it worked. So in as much as I know that those things can also be localized, I mean, you've got to make sure that, I mean, you put it in the right context in every environment where you are. But there are lots of things to learn from it. So for me, I already conditioned my mind that, okay, what percentage of my workforce do I need to buy into my vision to drive the whole things forward? So the more I get the larger number of people to be in that percentage, the better for the business. Then number two is the fact that if I'm struggling with that, I need to step back and say to myself that, am I the one communicating the vision wrongly, or am I going about it the wrong way? As a leader, it's not quick to think your people are the problem, because oftentimes that's the easiest thing to do, really. Yeah, I understand. So you need to take responsibility and step back, because and then make sure that you are communicating rightly to them. Then number three is the fact that you probably also need to look at the hiring process to make sure that you're getting the right people in. And oftentimes, entrepreneurs, and we don't have that patience, unfortunately, at times. So we always want people with short learning curve, and that's also another area of challenge. So you got to look at the onboarding process, the hiring process. How much time do yeah, that you have to make sure that you give to people. But beyond all that is that you need resilient people.
Mm.
Agility is one of the um, brand values that we have as a business. And trust me, if there's nothing else that I've said to a lot of people in my environment, I've said so many things about it. If you come to our office, we have it branded agility. Everybody needs to know, because it's very important for you to be agile. And agility for me is a mindset. It's a mindset that you need to have as an individual about things. At times, I think that I don't want people to mistake the fact that agility is not about being in a hurry to do things. Is about having the subconscious that, number one, you're not the only one that the customer is talking to. You haven't
Mm.
got the whole time in the world. Number two is that, I mean, there are so many other people thinking about it. Research has shown that if you have an idea and you don't implement it in 6 months, somebody else will implement it. That's the truth. And, so if you have all these things in your subconscious, it drives you to make sure that you do things the way you should do. And I have some mindset that everybody's not going to agree to what I want to do all the time. That's just the truth.
This is
So
true. This is
I'm
true.
not going to wait for the whole world to say yes before I move on. They understand. So I've got to move. I've got to make the hay when the sun shines. And I've redefined failure in my own dictionary, and especially in this part of the world where we were brought up with the wrong understanding of failure. For me, a failure is something that you never attempted to do as well, at
Mm.
all. So for me, if people say that, I mean, you've tried something and it has not achieved the desired outcome or result, that means you've learned how not to do it. not that you've learned failed. For me, and I think ability to encourage that is also something that is very important. That
Yeah.
the person that fails in my own dictionary is somebody that never made an attempt to do anything. But
Mm.
if you have made an attempt to do something and it has not achieved the desired result, it only means that you have learned how not to do it, not that you have not learned anything. So to be honest with you, Tosin, I mean, it's something that is very important. Another thing is to make sure that you don't lose the consciousness of these little wins that you have. Celebrate
Mm.
yourself. Look back. Unfortunately, I tell people that every time that we're doing our quarterly performance review, I tell people, I start by saying that, okay, this is where we have said we should be. We are not there. But before I close, I always say that we are not also where we used to be. So I try to balance it. It's very
Yes.
important for us. Johnny Walker says that we must keep working, no
Keep
matter how.
walking.
So
That
it's
is so
very
true.
important. So we must strike that balance to let people understand that even though we are not where we thought we should be, but we also know where we used to be. So it's very important. Celebrate your team, celebrate the little win, encourage them, make sure you get as much right people onto the larger percentage of people that are driving the vision of the organization, understanding it. Make sure take a step back as a leader to make sure you're communicating appropriately to the people. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, I take two things from that. You spoke about the spectrum of your team, and this is so true. I have also led teams large and small, and continue to lead teams in my business, and I see that people come in a spectrum. There are those that will be so engaged and be the heartbeat of the business, and then there are those that sometimes they deliver at 110%, and sometimes they deliver at 25%, and you're wondering what's going on. And then there are
Exactly.
just some that just they're just pedaling along, and you say just manage them. I think that is an interesting insight that it happens everywhere. You just need to know how to manage that kind of complexity within teams. But also you speak about self-reflection as a leader. And I think it's so powerful because a lot of times people place all of the blame and all of the issues at the feet of their staff. But you're saying, as a leader, you also have to step back and you have to review what's going on and assess what's going on. I think that is so powerful that I wanted to ask another question around, team dynamics and the kind of voices. Now it's about diversity of thought in teams, the kind of voices in your team, the kind of different perspectives in teams. Is it important to have a team that's diverse? Diverse not just in terms of gender roles or the normal sort of diversity metrics, but in terms of what they bring to the table, those who are critical thinkers versus those who are creative thinkers and such kinds of things. Is that important to have a mix in a team?
It's very, very important to have in a team and even the larger organization as well. And what I say as a leader is that the higher you go in the spectrum of leadership, the more you should develop your listening skills, because that's how you'll be able to see those things. And you've got to also make sure that you sit back to be the last person that speak most of the time, because when you first of all speak, everybody may want to toe your line, and then you understand. So these
Yes.
are things. So, but it's very important to have people with diverse names. And as a leader, there are questions that you also can ask that can bring those divergent opinions out. Because most of the time, what I say to people is that the question I'm asking you, there is no right or wrong answer. Yeah, understand. It's only a function of perspective. Just like what we say that, I mean, when I point about three fingers to you, I mean, some people might say three. So it depends on the side that you are seeing things. So it doesn't mean that it's wrong. So I think as an organization, one of the things we must strive to do is to, first of all, create that environment where people can speak, where people are comfortable to be challenged, where people are comfortable to know that whatever they say is not going to be viewed in a wrong way, and to, also encourage cross-functional thinking. And because whether we like it or not, gets organizations, teams also fight each other in a way that the organization benefits from it eventually. It's a way of, it's a unitary force that it diffuses Exactly. So the organization is meant to. And what I say to my team at times is that as a leader, I have a way of, almost knowing what the truth is from every team. Do you understand? Because they all look at things from their own perspective. The way a finance person looks at things is different from the way the technology team will look at it. Is different from the way HR will look at it. Is different from the way the customer support people will look at things. And so ability for you to look at all these things, the way they've said it, the way they are contributing to it will give you a well-informed decision as a leader as well. So it's something that is very, very important. Everybody can't just see things from the same perspective. So there, and it's a positive force for me. So when you talk about diversity, so diversity of opinion, it helps you to see things from a different prism. It makes you to see. I mean, it creates even opportunities at times. It creates opportunities that you never thought about. As at times, it tells you about your hidden strength as a business. You understand? It tells
Yes.
you about your blind spots as a leader as well. Um,
Yes.
so ability to put all these things together and be able to see that, wow, so this is where we should be going as a business. I think it's a good thing to make sure that you have such people. And that's why most of the time in our own organization, we make sure that we form little committee to drive things so that everybody can bring different perspective to how that thing should be done.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for that. In your work, how do you, shifting back to technology now for a little bit, how do you identify, emerging technologies and which ones will matter the most? Things are changing at such a rapid pace that what you thought was, top shelf yesterday, is now sort of somewhere behind the league. How do you identify those? And have you got, at least one example for us? I think earlier you mentioned about Nokia, and I was just remembering the days when, if you didn't have a Nokia, you didn't have a phone. But things have moved on quite a bit from there. So how do you identify emerging technology?
Yeah. So for us, I mean, there are different ways to imagine to identify emerging technology. I think one of the things is for us to look at it from a demography point of view. The truth is that the people that we have working now as the working class people that are in their early 20s and mid, like 25 and co, are people that never knew what life was without computer. They understand. Not,
They
they
have no
don't know what
idea.
it means. Exactly. And then the one coming after them are people that never knew what life is now without social media. They understand.
Yes.
So ability for us to understand the differences in all these demography is also something that is very, very important for us to know that there are going to be disruptions. You and I probably maybe worked when laptops were just being introduced and everything, but these people
Yes.
are working with their phone. And so all these things must have a way of feeding into how we engage, how we design our products, how we design our processes, how we design the engagement that we have. I went to an hospital this morning to just have you know, I mean, I got there and they told me that, okay, you want to see a doctor? Okay, just scan that QR code and fill the form. Oh, okay, it's
Wow.
okay. Yeah, I understand. So, um, before, maybe if they are brought out, somebody will sit behind the laptop or computer and
Yeah.
be typing in my name.
Or
I
a
mean,
paper form.
exactly, or paper, all those kind of
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah.
so you can see that things have changed. So I had to register myself. That's self-service. Yeah, I understand. I have to register myself, typed in my name and everything, got a notification immediately that everything is correct and everything. And then before you know it, moved on to the next stage. And from every desk that I was moving, they were just asking me about my card number, and that's what they were using to treat me. So you can imagine that experience is different from maybe some years ago that if anybody had told anyone, my father of blessed memory, that things like this will happen, he would say, no, it's not possible. You understand? So
True.
I think ability for us to see that is also something that is very, very important, especially in the field where we are. You understand? So we are
Yes.
more than willing and we are ready to pioneer a lot of things. We look for opportunities, we look for gaps. There was a question that somebody asked me recently that because we also have the technology solution part of our business,
Right. Yes.
which brings in a whole lot of innovation where we look for the products that we sell, we look at the gaps that they have, and then we try to make sure that we come up with some products that can, fill that gap as well. So it's something that we do. It's something that we are very excited about doing. They understand because at the end of the day, we know that customers' requests and needs are changing on a daily basis as well.
Mm,
So
mm,
that's something that we do with all sense of humility on our own side. So imagine technology is going to be there. Things are going to be changing. And we also have a standard way of making sure that we bring all these things on board in
mm,
terms of and the standard product development life cycle. You understand from the concept stage to making sure that it goes through the curation, it goes through the ideation and everything, and then make sure that you nurture them through and start introducing them from a pilot point of view, have some kind of friendly user test, create some community, make sure they use it, and then before you go to the big bang way. So it's something that we drive in our own environment as well.
Another customer gone. Not because your products weren't great, but because your system couldn't keep up. You're stuck with receipts, out of sync inventory, and payments that just won't reconcile. It's not your fault. Meet Avetune POS, a smart cloud-based point of sale system that brings everything into one place. Sales, inventory, payments, reports, all synced in real time. Track every sale, manage stock, reward loyal customers, all from one intuitive dashboard. Whether you operate a supermarket, a healthcare franchise, or a retail chain, Avetune POS scales with you as your business expands and syncs seamlessly across branches for consistency and efficiency. Sell smarter, faster, and with ease. Schedule a free demo session with us today. Visit www.avetuneconsult.com or send a mail to sales@avetuneconsult.com. Start with Avetune POS today.
that's amazing. I like the fact that you also speak about the process of even embedding new technology. It's not just enough to identify this is a new one that we would have on our stables. There's also how do you bed it in with the end customer, and that process that you eloquently described makes perfect sense. And we're starting to gradually wrap up this conversation. About one or two more questions, and I like to do something on this podcast, which is our calling card, which is looking ahead. The podcast is called Ready Next. We look at what's happening now, but we also want to have one foot in the future. So when you look ahead, are you starting to see some shifts that you think organizations should be taking sort of cognizance of now before it's too late? What are those shifts, and what are people underestimating?
Yeah, I think the jury is out already on this question that you asked. Whether we like it or not, the earlier we embrace AI, the better for all of us. I think AI is something that we can't run away from. Number two is data. Data is the new oil. There's nothing we can do about that as well. AI is going to change a lot of things. It's going to change the way we live our world. It's going to change the processes. A lot of things are just going to change. So AI is something that is the big change that we are all embracing now. So now, I always try to situate it in the context of the environment because let's call a spade a spade. There will always be localization.
Of
Tropicalization is
course.
something. I mean,
Yes.
AI in China is different from AI in America, is different from AI in Nigeria. So we also
Yes.
trying to situate things in the context of our markets as well. So, but it's just a matter of time. It's going to catch up with us. And the way the adoption is going to come is also going to one way or the other disrupt the market as well. Then in terms of data, AI is the foundation for AI is data itself. You understand? Without data, there's no
Yes.
AI.
Yes.
Without data, there's no AI. So because AI works based on the generated data and
Yes.
somebody building some kind of behavior matrix algorithm around it, and then you can come up with some predictive analysis around it. So data is also something that is also going to, and when you combine all these things together, what it means is that there are going to be creation of new things, and then where there's going to also be the giving up of the old ways of doing things. So ability for organization to position themselves in readiness for that, it's also something that is very, very important. Ability for us to position ourselves in readiness for all these things, both from a product point of view and then from a market penetration point of view, is something that we must be ready to do as an organization. Things are going to change, whether we like it or not. Processes are going to change. New products are going to come into the market. The way we run the business is going to be different. So as an organization, we are positioning ourselves around this as well. We're not losing sight. And it goes back to some of the questions you've asked before in terms of stability and innovation. So you can't have it for long.
Exactly.
So you've got to be ready for it.
You've got to be ready. Exactly. And to wrap up, I want you to speak to two audiences, young people, but also folks who are highly experienced, have spent time building a career. If you're going to talk to them about how to think differently about this time that we're in, so that they can maximize it to their benefit, and to thrive in this time, how would you speak to someone who is just taking those first steps in their career, but also those who are actually at the forefront, at the helm, the likes of yourself? What should they be doing now in order to thrive in today and tomorrow?
Yeah, so I think one thing that is common to the two sets of people, or two categories of people that you have asked me, is that number one is the disposition, is how you receive things that are going to change. Change is going to happen it's going to happen, and it's going to affect the young, it's going to affect the old. Now, what determines the survivors? What determines the people that are going to move forward? It's your position. How do you see it? Are you waiting for it to happen, or are you trying to bring it on yourself, or are you trying to cause it to happen? So the young people, because of the age on their side, they can afford to still make one or two mistakes and still quickly correct themselves and move forward. But unfortunately, the older generations don't have much time on their own side. So for me, I think the mindset is something that is very important. And then number two is also to make sure that we embrace it, we adopt it. We shouldn't think that it's just for certain class of people. So I was at an event about last month where I spoke, and one of the questions that somebody asked was that AI is not for the old people, it's just for the young people. And one of the things I say is that whether you like it or not, it's coming on you as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do, because there's going to come a time where you have no choice other than to make sure that you embrace it. So I think the mindset is something that is very, very important to these two sets of categories of people that you have enumerated this morning. And then lastly, for me, is the fact that the young people are coming at an interesting time. We can't blame them for that. So what I've said in terms of data and everything, the way they work, the way they think. So I think they have the opportunity to maximize their potentials, especially with new things coming on board. And, that's where the ethical aspect of all these things that we are talking about comes in as well. We must also be able to make sure that we look at the ethical side of things as well. So that, you see, I grew up with the impression and with the understanding that when things, you have bad things in good things, you have good things in bad things. There's no way you can do about it. So when nations are developing, they develop both in good things and bad things. So there's a whole lot of scare out there about AI. I'm not sure there's anything we can do about it. We just have to mitigate it. We have to manage it in such a situation. That's what I would say for the older people. I think as much as possible, don't be a roller coaster. Just make sure you participate. It's a moving train. You understand? So you've got to try to join it and understand it as well.
That's amazing. I think on that fantastic note, I want to say a huge thank you to you, Yinka, for coming on the podcast. It brings us to the end of this wonderful, insightful episode. Thank you for sharing your insights, your experience, and your energy with us. To our listeners, stay tuned. I will see you next time for another exciting episode of Ready Next. Thank you. Thank you, Yinka.
Thank you very much, Tosin. Thanks for the opportunity, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.